The distress signal came at 3 in the morning, ship time. Kang Tisu was cleaning his pistol when the alarm rang through the halls of the Horizon Dawn. He put the weapon together in seconds and walked to the bridge. Captain Yoon D stood at the main screen, his face tired and worried. The signal was weak, coming from a small moon that was not on any map. Most of the crew wanted to ignore it. They were merchants, not heroes. But the captain was a good man, and good men do not ignore calls for help. "Take a team," the captain said to Tisu. "Find out what happened. If there are survivors, bring them back." Tisu nodded. He picked 3 crew members and loaded them into a shuttle. Kim Hana, the communications officer, watched him from the doorway. "Be careful," she said. Tisu did not answer. He simply checked his rifle one more time and closed the shuttle door. The moon was gray and dead. No air, no life, just rocks and dust under a black sky. The shuttle landed near a crashed ship. It was beautiful even in ruin, made of white metal that seemed to glow in the dark. This was not human technology. This was Veloran. Tisu knew about the Velorans. Everyone in the galaxy did. They were an ancient species, thousands of years old. They ruled a massive empire across 100 star systems. They were tall and elegant, with silver-blue skin and eyes that glowed like small moons. They looked at humans the way humans looked at insects. To them, humanity was young, violent, and not worth their attention. The crashed ship had burn marks on its sides. Someone had attacked it. Tisu moved carefully, his rifle ready. His team followed behind him, nervous and silent. Inside the ship, they found bodies. Veloran guards in silver armor, all dead. Their blood was pale blue, almost white. Tisu counted 8 of them. They had fought hard before they died. Then he heard a sound, a small breath, weak and afraid. He found her in the back of the ship, hiding behind a broken wall. She was young, at least by Veloran standards. Her silver-blue skin was covered in dust and blood. Her arm was broken, bent at a wrong angle. Her large eyes looked up at him with pure terror. She was wearing a dress of white and gold, not a soldier's uniform, something royal. Tisu lowered his rifle slowly. He held up his empty hands so she could see them. "I am not going to hurt you," he said. His voice was calm and steady. "I am here to help." She did not understand his words at first. She spoke the Veloran language, something musical and strange. But there was a translator device on her belt, and after a moment it began to work. "Human," she whispered. The word sounded like poison in her mouth. "Stay away from me." "You are hurt," Tisu said. "You will die if you stay here. Let me take you to my ship. We have medicine. We can help you." "Humans are savages," she said. "Violent creatures. I would rather die than accept your help." Tisu looked at her for a long moment. Then he took off his jacket and held it out to her. "You are cold," he said simply. "Take this." She stared at the jacket like it was a trap, but her body was shaking, and the cold of the moon was eating into her bones. Slowly, very slowly, she reached out and took it. Tisu sat down on the floor across from her. He made no move to touch her or grab her. He simply waited. "Who attacked you?" he asked. "Keth Raiders," she said. Her voice was weak. "They came out of nowhere. They killed my guards. They wanted to take me alive." Tisu knew about the Keth too. Insected creatures with 6 arms and black shells. They were pirates and hunters, and they loved to capture important people for ransom. A Veloran royal would be worth a fortune. "They will come back," Tisu said. "We need to leave now." "I cannot walk," she admitted. There was shame in her voice. "My leg is also injured." Tisu stood up and walked toward her. She pressed herself against the wall, her eyes wide. "I am going to carry you," he said. "I will not hurt you, I promise." "Why?" she asked. "Why would you help me? My people have never been kind to yours. We have ignored you, insulted you, treated you like animals. Why would you save me?" Tisu looked into her glowing eyes. She was scared and proud and confused all at once. "Because you are hurt," he said. "That is enough." He picked her up gently, careful not to touch her broken arm. She was lighter than he expected, her bones thin and delicate. She made a small sound of pain but did not scream. His team was waiting outside, their faces shocked when they saw what he was carrying. "Sir," one of them said, "that is a Veloran. If we take her to our ship, there could be trouble. The Empire might think we kidnapped her." "Then the Empire can come and thank us for saving her life," Tisu said. "Move, we are leaving." They returned to the Horizon Dawn. The crew gathered to stare at the alien princess as Tisu carried her to the medical bay. Whispers followed them through the halls. Some were curious, some were afraid, some were angry. Captain Yoon met them at the medical bay door. His face was pale. "Do you know who this is?" he asked quietly. "She is hurt," Tisu said. "That is all I need to know." The captain opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. He had known Tisu for 3 years. He knew there was no point in arguing with that look in his eyes. The ship's doctor, a woman named Park Sumai, worked on the princess for 2 hours. She set the broken bones and cleaned the wounds. When she was done, the princess was sleeping, her face peaceful for the first time. Tisu sat in a chair by her bed. He did not move. He did not sleep. He simply watched over her like a guard dog that had found something precious to protect. Hana came to see him in the middle of the night. "You know this is going to be trouble," she said. "Yes," he agreed. "The Velorans might not believe we saved her. They might think we attacked her ship. They could destroy us." "Maybe." Hana sighed. She sat down next to him and looked at the sleeping princess. "She is beautiful," she admitted, in a strange way. "She was scared," Tisu said. "She thought I was going to kill her. She thought all humans were monsters." "Can you blame her? That is what her people teach. To them, we are just violent apes who discovered space travel too early." Tisu did not answer. He just kept watching the princess sleep. In the morning, she woke up. Her eyes opened slowly, confused at first. Then she saw Tisu sitting in the same chair in the same position, like he had never moved. "You stayed," she said. There was surprise in her voice. "Yes." "Why?" Tisu handed her a cup of water. She took it carefully, studying his face. "You were hurt," he said again. "You were alone, that was enough." The princess looked at him for a long time. She had lived for over 200 years. She had met thousands of beings from dozens of species, but she had never met anyone like this strange, quiet human who saved lives simply because it was the right thing to do. "What is your name?" she asked. "Kang Tisu." "I am Princess Lyra of the Veloran Empire." She paused, then added something she had never said to a human before. "Thank you, Kang Tisu. Thank you for saving my life." Tisu nodded once, his face calm. "You are welcome, Princess. Rest now, you are safe here." And for the first time in her long life, Lyra believed a human. 3 days passed on the Horizon Dawn. Princess Lyra grew stronger, but the ship grew more nervous. Everyone knew the Keth would come. Raiders never gave up on valuable prey, and a Veloran princess was the most valuable prey in the galaxy. Captain Yoon sent a message to the Veloran Empire, explaining what had happened. A warship was coming to collect the princess, but it was still 4 days away. 4 days was a long time when hunters were on your trail. Tisu was assigned as Lyra's personal guard. The captain thought it made sense. Tisu had saved her once already. He might as well finish the job. Lyra did not like this at first. She was proud, and she did not want to be protected by a human. But she was also practical, and she knew she was too weak to protect herself. "You will stay 10 steps behind me at all times," she told him on the first day. "You will not speak unless spoken to. You will not look me in the eyes. These are the rules for servants in my court." Tisu listened to her words. Then he walked past her and checked the hallway outside her room. "The hallway is clear," he said. "You may walk now." Lyra stared at him with shock. No one had ever ignored her orders before. "Did you not hear me?" she demanded. "I gave you rules." "I heard you," Tisu said calmly. "But my job is to keep you alive, not to follow court rules. If you want someone who will bow and obey, find another guard. If you want someone who will die to protect you, then you have me." Lyra opened her mouth to argue, but no words came out. She had never met anyone so stubborn, so direct, so completely unafraid of her royal status. She did not admit it, but she found it interesting. The days passed slowly. Tisu walked with Lyra through the ship, always watching, always alert. He slept sitting upright outside her door. He ate his meals standing so he could move quickly if danger came. Lyra began to notice things about him. The way his eyes never stopped moving, checking corners and shadows. The way his hands were covered in old scars, some white with age, some still pink. The way he walked without making sound, like a ghost in human form. One evening she asked him about his past. They were in the observation deck looking out at the stars. Lyra sat by the window, her blue skin glowing softly in the starlight. Tisu stood near the door, watching the entrance. "You were a soldier," she said. "It was not a question." "Yes." "What kind of soldier?" "The kind that does the jobs nobody talks about." Lyra turned to look at him. "You have killed many people." "Yes." There was no shame in his voice and no pride, just truth. "Does it bother you?" Tisu was silent for a moment. Then he spoke, his voice quiet. "I had a team once, 7 soldiers. They were my brothers and sisters. We did dangerous work together for 5 years. Then one mission went wrong. We were betrayed. I was the only one who survived." Lyra felt something strange in her chest. It might have been pity. She was not sure. She had never felt pity for a human before. "What happened to the ones who betrayed you?" she asked. "I found them," Tisu said simply. He did not say what he did to them. He did not need to. Lyra could see the answer in his eyes. "I carry their names with me," he continued. "My team. I have their names marked on my skin here." He touched his side over his ribs. "So I never forget them, so they are always with me." "Why do humans do this?" Lyra asked. "Why do you cling to pain? My people believe that pain should be forgotten. We live for thousands of years. If we held on to every loss, we would drown in sorrow." Tisu looked at her, his dark eyes steady. "Because pain reminds us we are still alive," he said. "Because the people we lost deserve to be remembered. Because forgetting them would mean they never mattered." Lyra did not have an answer to that. She turned back to the stars and thought about his words for a long time. The attack came on the 4th day. Tisu felt it before the alarms rang. Something in the ship changed, a vibration in the floor, a shift in the air. He grabbed his rifle and ran to Lyra's room. "Get up," he said. "They are here." 3 Keth boarding pods hit the ship at the same time. They cut through the hull like knives through paper. The creatures that poured out were nightmares made real. Tall insectoids with black shells and 6 arms, each arm ending in a sharp blade. Their eyes were red and hungry. The crew fought back. Captain Yoon led the defense, shouting orders and firing his pistol. Hana worked the communications, trying to call for help, but everyone knew the truth. The Keth were too many, and the crew was not trained for war. Tisu took Lyra to a storage room deep in the ship. He locked the door and pushed a heavy crate in front of it. "Stay here," he said. "Do not open this door for anyone except me." "Where are you going?" Lyra asked. Her voice was afraid, though she tried to hide it. "To stop them." He turned to leave, but she grabbed his arm. Her grip was weak, but her eyes were strong. "You will die," she said. "There are too many of them, even you cannot fight them all." Tisu looked at her hand on his arm. Then he looked at her face. "Maybe," he said, "but I will make sure they do not reach you." He gently removed her hand and walked out the door. Lyra heard him lock it from outside. Then there was silence. Tisu moved through the ship like a shadow. He found the first group of Keth near the engine room, 5 of them killing wounded crew members. He shot 2 before they knew he was there. The other 3 turned to face him, their blades raised. He killed them in close combat. His rifle became a club when his bullets ran out. He used their own blades against them. When the last one fell, he was covered in blue blood that was not his own. He kept moving. The second group was near the bridge, 7 Keth this time. The captain was wounded, bleeding from a cut on his face. Tisu came from behind, silent and deadly. He killed 3 before they could turn. The captain and remaining crew killed 2 more. The last 2 ran, but Tisu hunted them down in the corridors. The third group found the storage room. 4 Keth were cutting through the door when Tisu arrived. He had no bullets left. He had only a fire axe he had taken from the wall and his own 2 hands. The first Keth turned to face him. Tisu buried the axe in its head before it could strike. He pulled the weapon free and swung at the second one. It blocked with one arm and stabbed him with another, driving a blade through his shoulder. Tisu did not stop. He did not scream. He grabbed the blade in his flesh and used it to pull the creature closer, then smashed its skull with the axe. The third Keth jumped on his back, wrapping its arms around him. Tisu threw himself backward, crushing the creature against the wall. It let go, dazed. He broke its neck with his bare hands. The fourth one was smarter. It kept its distance, circling him with all 6 blades ready. Tisu was bleeding badly now. His left arm hung useless at his side, but his eyes were still alive, still burning. He threw the axe. The Keth dodged easily, but the throw was a trick. Tisu was already moving, crossing the distance in 3 steps. He caught the creature's arm, twisted, and drove its own blade into its throat. Silence. Tisu stood alone in the hallway, surrounded by dead aliens. Blood ran down his body, some of it blue, some of it red. He was shaking with pain and exhaustion. Then the storage room door opened. Lyra stood there, her eyes wide. She had heard everything. The sounds of battle, the screams, the silence, and now she saw the result. 1 human against 4 nightmare creatures, and the human was the one still standing. Tisu looked at her. His face was pale, his eyes unfocused. He tried to speak, but no words came out. Then his legs gave up beneath him and he collapsed against the wall. Lyra ran to him. She held his face in her hands, her silver-blue fingers gentle against his skin. "Stay awake," she commanded. "Do not close your eyes, help is coming." Tisu tried to smile. It came out more like a grimace. "You are safe," he whispered. "That is all that matters." Then his eyes closed, and Lyra screamed for the doctor. For the first time in 200 years, Princess Lyra of the Veloran Empire was crying, and she was crying for a human. The Veloran warship arrived like a silver moon rising from the darkness of space. The throne of stars was massive, 10 times larger than the horizon dawn. Its surface was covered with weapons and symbols of the Empire, shining with power and pride. High Marshal Khyven came aboard with 20 guards in crystal armor. He was tall even by Veloran standards, with cold eyes and a face made of sharp angles. He looked at the human ship like a man looking at a pile of garbage. "Where is the princess?" he demanded. His voice was ice. Captain Yoon led him to the medical bay. Lyra was there, sitting beside Tisu's bed. The human was still unconscious, his body wrapped in bandages. The ship's doctor had done her best, but he had lost a lot of blood. He needed better medicine than the horizon dawn could offer. Khyven stopped in the doorway, his face showing disgust. "Princess Lyra," he said, "your mother has been worried. We must leave at once." Lyra looked up at him. Her eyes were tired but strong. "I am not leaving him," she said. The High Marshal blinked. "I beg your pardon. This human saved my life, twice. He fought 4 Keth raiders alone to protect me. He nearly died. I will not leave him to die on this ship." She stood up and faced Khyven directly. He will come with us to the throne of stars. He will receive proper medical care. This is my command." Khyven's face twisted with frustration. "Princess, he is a human, a savage. Surely you cannot expect us to bring such a creature aboard an Imperial warship." "I expect you to obey me," Lyra said. Her voice was quiet, but there was steel underneath. "Or should I tell my mother that her High Marshal refused a direct order from her daughter?" The silence stretched between them. Khyven was a proud man, and he hated this, but he was also smart enough to know when he was beaten. "Very well," he said through his teeth. "The human will come with us, but he is your responsibility, Princess. If he causes any trouble, the consequences are on you." "He will not cause trouble," Lyra said. "He is the most honorable person I have ever met." Khyven laughed, a short and ugly sound. "Honorable, a human. I did not know the princess had a sense of humor." He turned and walked away. Lyra watched him go, her hands closed into fists at her sides. Tisu was carried onto the throne of stars on a floating medical bed. The Veloran soldiers stared at him as he passed, their faces showing curiosity and disgust in equal measure. A human on an Imperial warship. It had never happened before in the history of the Empire. The doctors on the throne of stars were skilled beyond anything on the Horizon Dawn. They used machines that could heal bones in hours and close wounds without scars. Within 3 days, Tisu was awake and walking. But healing his body was easier than surviving the court. The throne of stars carried not just soldiers, but also nobles. Minor princes and courtiers, ambassadors and advisors, all traveling to the capital. They looked at Tisu like he was a zoo animal that had escaped its cage. Whispers followed him everywhere. Some were cruel, calling him ugly, primitive, a pet that the princess had taken pity on. Others were curious, wondering how such a small and fragile creature had killed 4 Keth raiders. A few were interested in other ways, wanting to see this strange alien up close, to touch his warm skin and examine his strange round eyes. Tisu ignored them all. He was used to being hated. He was used to being underestimated. These nobles with their perfect faces and ancient bloodlines did not scare him. Lyra stayed by his side. She was the only Veloran who treated him like a person, and he was grateful for that. "They are all watching us," she said one evening. They were in the observation deck looking out at the stars. It had become their favorite place, a quiet spot where they could escape from the stairs. "I know," Tisu said. "Does it bother you?" "No, I have had worse." Lyra looked at him with soft eyes. "You are a strange human, Kang Tisu." "You have said that before." "It is still true." She sat down on a crystal bench and patted the spot beside her. Tisu hesitated, then sat down carefully, keeping distance between them. "Tell me about your world," she said. "Tell me about Earth." Tisu thought for a moment. "What do you want to know?" "Everything. My people teach that humans are violent animals who discovered space travel by accident, that your planet is dirty and chaotic, that you fight wars over small pieces of land and worship false gods. I want to know the truth." Tisu looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, beyond systems and light years, was a small blue planet he had not seen in 6 years. "Earth is beautiful," he said finally. "It has oceans so big that you cannot see the other side, mountains that touch the clouds, forests that have stood for thousands of years." He paused. "It also has war, and hunger, and cruelty. Humans are not perfect, we never claimed to be." "Then what makes you different?" Lyra asked. "What makes you special?" Tisu thought about this question for a long time. "We do not give up," he said. "No matter how hard things get, we keep fighting. We fall down and we stand up again. We fail and we try again. Maybe that is stupidity or maybe it is hope." He looked at her. "I do not know if that makes us special, but it makes us human." Lyra studied his face in the starlight. His features were strange to her, flat where Veloran faces were sharp, dark where hers was silver. but there was something in his eyes that she recognized, a strength that had nothing to do with muscles or weapons. "My mother will want to meet you," she said softly, "when we reach the capital." "The Queen." "Yes, Queen Saren. She rules the Veloran Empire. She has ruled for 10,000 years." Lyra's voice became careful. "She is not like me, Tisu. She is cold and hard and very old. She has seen species rise and fall. She has watched empires burn. She does not trust anyone, especially not humans." "Will she want to kill me?" Tisu asked calmly. "Perhaps, or perhaps she will be curious about you, the creature who saved her daughter when her own guards failed." Lyra reached out and touched his hand. Her fingers were cool against his skin. "I will protect you if I can, but my power is limited. In my mother's court I am just a princess. She is the sun." Tisu looked at her hand on his. He did not pull away. "You have protected me enough," he said. "Whatever happens, I will face it." "Why are you not afraid?" she asked. "I am afraid," Tisu admitted. "But fear is not a reason to run. Fear is a reason to stand taller." Lyra smiled at him. It was a real smile, warm and genuine, the kind that Veloran nobles never showed. "Teach me more," she said. "More what?" "More about your world, more about your people, more about you." So Tisu talked. He told her about Korea, his home country on Earth. He told her about his mother, who died when he was young, and his father, who raised him alone. He told her about the songs she used to sing, the food she used to cook, the way she laughed when he made mistakes. He even sang for her, an old Korean lullaby, soft and sad and beautiful. His voice was rough, not made for singing, but Lyra listened with wonder in her eyes. When the song ended, she was quiet for a long time. "We do not have songs like that," she said finally. "Our music is about empires and victories and glory. It is not about mothers and children and love." "Maybe that is what you have lost," Tisu said gently. "Living so long, watching everyone you love die. Maybe you stopped making songs about small, simple things because they hurt too much." Lyra did not answer, but he could see the truth of his words in her eyes. The ship arrived at Velora Prime the next morning. Through the observation window, Tisu saw the planet for the first time. It was white and silver, covered with crystal cities that sparkled like diamonds under twin suns. It was the heart of an empire that had ruled for 10,000 years. And somewhere down there, a queen was waiting to meet the human who had saved her daughter. Tisu took a deep breath and prepared himself for whatever came next. The throne room of the Veloran Empire was the largest space Tisu had ever seen. It stretched so far that the walls disappeared into mist. The ceiling was made of crystal that caught the light of the twin suns and scattered it into rainbows. Pillars of white stone rose like frozen giants, carved with the faces of ancient rulers. And at the end of a path that seemed to go on forever sat Queen Saren. She was not beautiful in the way Lyra was beautiful. Lyra was like a flower, soft and delicate. The queen was like a glacier, ancient and cold and terrifying. Her silver-blue skin was darker than her daughter's, almost gray. Her eyes did not glow warmly. They burned, cold and white like distant stars. She was twice the height of a human. She sat on a throne made of black crystal, looking down at the world like a god looking at ants. Tisu walked the long path toward her. Lyra was beside him, her hand almost touching his, offering comfort without words. Around them, the court watched in silence. Hundreds of Veloran nobles, generals, priests, and advisors, all of them waiting to see what would happen. High Marshal Kaivan stood at the base of the throne, his face satisfied with cruelty. He had made sure to describe Tisu in the worst way possible in his reports. A violent human, a savage who killed without mercy, a danger that should be removed. Tisu stopped 10 steps from the throne. Lyra had told him the proper distance. Any closer was considered disrespect. Any further was considered cowardice. The queen looked at him for a long time. Her eyes moved over his body, examining every detail: his short black hair, his scarred hands, his calm face, his steady eyes that did not look away from her. When she spoke, her voice filled the entire throne room, even though she did not raise it. It was the voice of someone who had never needed to shout because the universe simply obeyed. "So this is the human." "Yes, Mother," Lyra said. "This is Kang Tisu. He saved my life when our ship was attacked. He protected me when the Keth came for me again. Without him, I would be dead or captured." "I have read the reports," the Queen said. Her eyes never left Tisu. "A single human killed 12 Keth raiders, 4 of them with nothing but a fire axe in his bare hands. This seems impossible." "It is true," Lyra insisted. "I saw it myself. I saw him fighting even after he was wounded. I saw him refuse to give up even when he should have died." The Queen rose from her throne. She was even more terrifying standing, a tower of cold power in a silver dress. She descended the steps slowly, each movement graceful and deliberate. The court held its breath. Queen Saren stopped in front of Tisu. She was so tall that he had to look straight up to meet her eyes. Most beings would have fallen to their knees at this moment. Most would have begged for their lives or sworn eternal loyalty. Tisu simply stood there, looking up at her without fear. The Queen bent down, bringing her face closer to his. Up close, her skin looked like polished metal. Her eyes were endless pools of white light. "Your species lives such brief lives," she said. "A century at most, a heartbeat compared to my people. Yet you threw your life away for a stranger, a princess who had given you nothing, a race that has treated your kind with nothing but contempt." Her voice grew sharper. "Why?" Tisu did not blink. He did not look away. "Because it was the right thing to do," he said. The court gasped. No one spoke to the Queen so simply. No one answered her questions without titles and flowery words and desperate flattery. But Queen Saren did not look angry. She looked interested. "The right thing," she repeated. "And what does a creature who lives for such a short time know about right and wrong? We have spent millennia developing our laws, our ethics, our understanding of the universe. What wisdom can a mayfly offer to the stars?" "Maybe nothing," Tisu admitted. "Maybe humans are too young and too foolish to understand the universe, but we understand some things. We understand that suffering is wrong. We understand that protecting the weak is good. We understand that some things are worth dying for." He paused. "I did not save the princess to impress your empire or earn a reward. I saved her because she was hurt and alone and afraid. That was enough." Queen Saren straightened up. She looked at him for another long moment, her face unreadable. Then she did something that no one expected. She laughed. It was not a warm laugh. It was not a happy sound. It was the laugh of someone who had just seen something so strange and unexpected that they did not know how else to respond. "In 10,000 years," she said, "no one has ever spoken to me this way. Kings have knelt before me. Emperors have begged for my favor. Species have risen and fallen while I watched from this throne. And never, not once, has anyone looked me in the eye and told me that they did the right thing simply because it was right." She turned to face her court, her voice rising to fill every corner of the room. "This human has demonstrated a quality that my empire has forgotten: courage without calculation, honor without expectation, sacrifice without selfishness." She looked back at Tisu, and there was something in her eyes that might have been respect. "He will remain at the palace. He will serve as my personal guardian and advisor. This is not a request. It is a command." The court erupted into whispers. Shock and outrage and confusion rippled through the nobles like waves. High Marshal Khyven stepped forward, his face pale with fury. "My queen, this is unprecedented. This is dangerous. Humans cannot be trusted. This creature is a threat to your safety and the stability of the empire." "You doubt my judgment, High Marshal." The Queen's voice was soft, but it cut like a blade. Khyven fell silent immediately. He bowed his head and stepped back, but his eyes burned with hatred as they passed over Tisu. Lyra was staring at her mother with shock. This was not what she had expected. She had hoped the queen would spare Tisu's life, maybe reward him with gold or safe passage home, but this was something else entirely. Tisu understood what was happening. He was not being honored, he was being captured. The queen had seen something in him that interested her, something she wanted to study, to use, maybe to own. He would live in the palace, surrounded by luxury and alien wonders, but he would not be free to leave. He would be a pet in a golden cage. He kept his face calm. He did not show the cold weight that settled in his stomach. "I accept," he said simply. Lyra grabbed his arm. "Tisu, you do not have to do this. I can talk to my mother, I can explain." "There is nothing to explain," Tisu said quietly. He looked at her with gentle eyes. "Your mother has made her decision. Fighting it would only cause trouble for you and your family. I will stay. But your life, your freedom." "I lost those things long ago," Tisu said. "When my team died and I survived. When I became a man with no home and no purpose." He managed a small smile. "Maybe I can find new purpose here, watching over a queen instead of a princess." Lyra wanted to argue, but she knew it was pointless. She could see the acceptance in his eyes, the quiet strength that had carried him through so many battles. The queen watched this exchange with interest. The human and her daughter had formed a bond. She could see that clearly. It was useful information. Bonds could be used. Connections could be manipulated. But there was something else in her ancient heart, something she had not felt in centuries. Curiosity. This human was different from everything she had expected. He was not aggressive or stupid or scared. He was calm and strong and honest in a way that felt almost refreshing. She wanted to understand him. She wanted to know how such a brief, fragile creature could develop such unshakable principles. And perhaps, in some small corner of her cold heart, she wanted to see if he could teach her something she had forgotten. The court was dismissed. The nobles filed out, whispering and scheming. Kaivan left with murder in his eyes. But Tisu remained, standing alone in the throne room with a queen who had ruled for 10,000 years. His new life had begun. Whether it would be a prison or a purpose, only time would tell. Weeks passed in the crystal palace of Velora Prime. Tisu learned the ways of the Veloran court, and he hated every moment of it. The politics were endless. Nobles whispered in corners, plotting against each other. Alliances formed and broke like waves on a beach. Everyone smiled to each other's faces and planned betrayals in secret. Assassination was so common that it had its own formal rules, like a game with deadly consequences. The food was strange, and the nights were too quiet. Tisu missed Earth, missed the sound of rain and the taste of real food and the warmth of a sun that did not burn silver. But he stayed. He had given his word. Queen Saren summoned him often. At first their meetings were formal. She would ask questions about humanity, about Earth, about human history and culture. Tisu answered honestly, never trying to make his species sound better than it was. "We have had great wars," he told her. "Millions died. We have destroyed our own environment. We have committed terrible cruelties against each other." "Then how are you different from any other species?" the queen asked. "We are not different," Tisu said. "We are just younger. We make the same mistakes every species makes. But we also learn, sometimes slowly, sometimes too late, but we learn." The queen seemed to find this interesting. She asked more questions, deeper questions. What did humans believe about life and death? What did they fear? What did they hope for? Tisu answered them all, and slowly, something began to change. He started to notice things about the queen that no one else seemed to see. The way her shoulders sometimes drooped when she thought no one was watching. The way her eyes looked empty during long council meetings. The way she spoke to servants and guards without really seeing them. Queen Saren was tired, not in body but in soul. 10,000 years of rule had hollowed her out. She had outlived everyone she ever loved. She had watched children grow old and die, watched grandchildren turn to dust, watched civilizations rise and fall. The crown had become her only companion, and it was a cold and heavy friend. One night she called Tisu to her private chambers. It was late, and the palace was silent. She stood by a window, looking out at the twin moons of Velura Prime. "Do you know why I keep you here?" she asked without turning. "No," Tisu admitted. "Neither do I," she laughed, a small and tired sound. "In 10,000 years I have never acted without reason, every decision calculated, every move planned. But with you I am not sure what I want." Tisu walked closer, standing beside her at the window. The moons were beautiful, one silver and one blue, casting double shadows across the crystal city. "Maybe you do not need a reason," he said. "Everyone needs reasons." "No, sometimes we just need company." The queen turned to look at him. Her ancient eyes searched his face, looking for lies, for tricks, for hidden motives. She found none. "You speak to me plainly," she said. "No one does that. Everyone fears me too much." "I do not fear you." "Why not? I could destroy you with a word. I could have you killed 1,000 different ways. I am the most powerful being in this part of the galaxy." Tisu met her gaze without flinching. "Power does not make someone worthy of fear. Cruelty does, and you are not cruel, you are lonely." The queen flinched. It was small, barely visible, but Tisu saw it. He had hit something true. "Be careful, human," she warned. "You walk on dangerous ground." "I know, but you told me to be your advisor. An advisor who lies is useless. An advisor who tells the truth might live longer." For a long moment, Queen Saren said nothing. Then she did something extraordinary. She sat down. Not on a throne, not on a royal chair, just on the floor by the window like an ordinary person. She looked smaller suddenly, more fragile, more real. Tisu sat down beside her. "Everyone wants something from me," she said quietly. "Power, favor, protection, wealth. In 10,000 years, no one has simply wanted to sit with me." "Then I will sit with you," Tisu said. "No reason, no request. Just two tired souls looking at the moons." They sat in silence for a long time. It was comfortable, that silence. It did not demand anything. Finally, the queen spoke again. "Do you fear death, human?" Tisu thought about his team, their names carved into his skin. He thought about all the times he should have died and did not. He thought about his mother's lullaby, a song about going home. "No," he said, "I fear living without meaning." The queen looked at him with something new in her eyes. It might have been wonder. "Then perhaps you can teach me how to live again." The words hung in the air between them, fragile and important. Far away in the shadows of the palace, Princess Lyra watched from a doorway. She had come to check on Tisu, worried about him in this strange and dangerous place. Instead, she found something she never expected. Her mother, the cold and distant queen, sitting on the floor like a child, talking to a human like he was an equal, looking at him with eyes that were not empty for the first time in centuries. Lyra felt something complicated in her heart, pride that Tisu was changing her mother, sadness that she herself had never been able to do the same, and something else, something she did not want to name. But there were others watching too, darker eyes filled with hate. High Marshal Khyven stood in his chambers, speaking with 3 other nobles. They were men of power, men who had served the empire for thousands of years, and they were afraid. "The human is a threat," Khyven said. "The queen is changing. She speaks of reform, of kindness, of understanding other species. This is weakness. This is dangerous." "What can we do?" one noble asked. "She is the queen. Her word is law." "Laws can change," Khyven said darkly. "Rulers can fall. It has happened before, though not for many ages." He looked at his companions with cold eyes. "The human must die, and if necessary, the queen must be reminded of her proper role." The conspiracy began to take shape in the darkness. Tisu did not know about the plots against him. He was too busy trying to make a difference in the small ways he could. He spoke plainly to the queen when her decisions were cruel. He told her when courtiers lied to her face. He did not bow. He did not flatter. He simply told the truth. Some in the court began to hate him for it, but others, quietly, began to respect him. A human who was not afraid, a stranger who wanted nothing except to be honest. Lyra watched him carefully, her feelings growing more complicated each day. She saw him teaching her mother to laugh again. She saw him standing alone against the whispers and threats. She saw him become something impossible in the Veloran Empire, necessary. One evening, she found him in the observation deck they had shared on the ship. He was looking at the stars, as always. "Do you miss your home?" she asked. "Sometimes," he admitted, "but home is not always a place. Sometimes it is people." Lyra stepped closer. "And have you found people here?" Tisu looked at her, at the princess who had cried for him when he nearly died, at the first Veloran who had ever seen him as a person. "Yes," he said softly, "I have." They stood together under the stars, not quite touching, but close enough to feel each other's warmth. Two beings from different worlds, finding something in each other that neither expected. Behind them, the Empire continued its endless dance of power and betrayal. Enemies gathered in shadow. The Queen slowly awakened from her ancient sleep. And Kang Tisu, a soldier who only ever wanted to protect those who needed him, found himself at the center of something larger than he ever imagined. He did not know what the future held. He did not know if he would live or die, if the Queen would find redemption, or if the conspirators would succeed. But he knew one thing for certain. Humanity's greatest weapon was never violence. It was the stubborn refusal to stop caring. And that was something even an empire could not defeat.